This fellow has been a great force in the Republican campaign as well. Nick Ayers is the chairman of the Mike Pence for Vice President campaign. Very good to see you, Nick. Thanks very much for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Well, it was certainly a slugfest, and it was already, you're hearing anecdotally that the two of them going at it was something we didn't see a lot of last week in the presidential debate.
Yeah, the slugfest, maybe. I thought the American people really got a glimpse of the Mike Pence that you and I both know. I know that you all have a personal relationship, and he's been a personal friend for years. And I thought what the American people really got a glimpse of tonight, or really an hour and a half deep study of, is that this is a guy who not only has a heart for public service, but he's really deep on the issues. But
he had to spend a lot of time defending Donald Trump. And I know, and by the way, Senator Kaine was doing the same with Hillary Clinton. Was that tough on a lot of issues that were needlessly dredged up, whether it's Donald Trump's comments on Miss Universe, whatever, that it was a distraction for Governor Pence? No,
because, Neil, he's been an effective partner in this process and a fierce competitor since the day that Donald Trump chose him. And I think what really tonight shows is that Mike Pence was one of the best decisions Donald Trump has ever made. And
many were emphasizing that in this hall, Nick. But, you know, one of the things I noticed, too, and this is just a gut level read.
Sure.
That these were very likable gentlemen sitting down. Now, you could argue, well, you don't like this one's politics.
I think one of them came across as very likable tonight.
All right, I think I know who you're thinking about. But my point was that, say what you will, they're passionate about each of their positions, but there was none of the tension that there was between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. Did I misinterpret that?
I don't know if you misinterpreted it or not. I was really focused on the messages and the policies that Governor Pence drove home, and I thought he was really effective at tying back what is a complicated situation, which is just how dangerous this world is, whether it's China building naval bases in the South China Sea, or Iran, pursuing nuclear power, or the North Koreans testing nukes.
But you know what I didn't get a sense of, Nick, is what would a Vice President Pence or President Trump do to address that? I mean, all-out attacks on these countries?
No, but let me just come back to this. Americans inherently know that it's a dangerous world right now. What I thought he was so effective at doing tonight is tying it back to the fact that Hillary Clinton was the architect of the failed foreign policy of the Obama administration, the rise, rule, and reign of ISIS, the Iranians who are literally effectively bribing the American government for hostages, putting our soldiers on their knees, taking pictures of them, and releasing the photos to the press, North Korea testing nukes. That's all in defiance because they sense weak and feckless American leadership. And the effective thing, a month before an election that I thought Governor Pence did so well tonight was tie it back to the fact that this wasn't just Obama's bad decision-making. Hillary Clinton was literally the architect of the foreign policy that is now unraveling on the world stage, and so I thought he was quite effective at that. And then you look at an issue like law enforcement, something that really tugs at the heartstrings of every American as these tragedies play out in communities. And what you saw tonight is Tim Kaine come loaded with divisive and hot rhetoric, ready to blame law enforcement, to suggest systemic bias and racism in the system.
But there can be problems in any industry, right?
Of course there are problems, but I thought what the governor did so well tonight, Neil, was talk about how the way we resolve these issues is by bringing everyone together, and that overwhelmingly the American people know that our law enforcement community is a law enforcement community that's for good. There's not systemic racism and bias.
Exchange, Nick, I thought they both talked past each other a lot. But let me ask you about the greater, you follow all these polls like I do, and I'm sure you don't cling to one versus the other. But for some reason, and there was a pattern to it, that after the Trump-Clinton debate, we've seen her kind of solidify her position. She's got a slight lead in Florida. In this state, depending on the poll, she's up by 6 to 8 points. Pennsylvania, she's built on a lead. Do you worry that this thing could be slipping away unless Donald Trump really brings his A game in St. Louis?
I have a prediction to make, which is I think that this race will reset at least one more time before Election Day, and maybe 2 or 3 more times.
Really? Well, you're right about it, because every week it's been that. Well, one week on, one week off.
That's absolutely the case. And Neil, you talk about the last week, but the 4 weeks prior to that, what was consistently setting in and showing is that the trend lines were really bad for Hillary Clinton's campaign, and they were very good for the Trump-Pence ticket. And so I think that we have time. I think tonight you'll see a reset in the race. I think that Governor Pence's performance will absolutely generate momentum. I think it's going to continue to bring the base together. Someone said here that
Governor Pence might have arrested the slide tonight. What do you make of that?
I think it's without question that his performance tonight will generate momentum, and I think that I think to the American people it'll be clear that Hillary Clinton and Tim Kaine want to continue to divide us. They had no policies he was championing tonight. He was focused on divisive rhetoric and personal insults and attack. And I think I'm almost certain that because historically Senator Kaine's been a very effective debater. I'd gone back and watched all of his debates.
Well, so is your guy.
That's true, but a few minutes into the debate,
these two were much better at keeping and sticking to issues and concise, cogent arguments than I think their counterparts were at the top of it. Now, that's not disparaging either on either side. But let me ask you about how this plays out now. Is it your sense that Governor Pence, at least, has stabilized? You kind of touched on that, and reminded Donald Trump the importance of studying, of really getting up to speed on this. I know he studied for debates in the past. He's very serious about this stuff, but he was sending a message, well, we can't flip around with this stuff.
Well, I know he was thrilled with Mike's performance tonight, and because we heard from him. They were absolutely thrilled and proud of his performance. I think it's without question that tonight's performance in the debate will absolutely. Here's the thing about Donald Trump. Right. He likes to win, and I believe he will be very focused on winning the next 2 debates.
All right, Sean, thank you very, very much. Nick, thank you very much.